Hey, thanks for joining me for episode 12. I got a couple videos lined up, so let's jump right in.
Conspiracy time. I believe that some very heavily guarded secrets are located inside state and national parks. Hear me out. So I'm a supervisor at a state park. I have keys to almost every building. I have access code to almost every gate. I have access to places in the park that staff aren't allowed to go, and I have access to the park where general public is not allowed to go. You cannot fly drones over top this park, as well as many other parks. There is a very heavy undercover presence here, and I know that for a fact. There has been numerous times where large portions of the park were shut down due to archaeological reasons, and there has been numerous instances where certain parking lots were completely shut down and filled with National Guard and military vehicles. There are animals back here that are not supposed to be here. Like last year, I actually saw a lemur in the state park in Florida. There are reports of exotic animals that are not supposed to be here. When they're reported to us, we are told to tell them that is because there is exotic breeders just outside the park and sometimes those animals get out. Is that true? I don't know. Going down the rabbit hole in the state parks and out in the wilderness, there have been reports of staircases. Just random staircases out in the forest. Yeah, staircases. Leading to nowhere. Look it up. So yeah, I believe that there's things being hidden back here that they don't want us to know about. What are your thoughts?
This immediately makes me think of the missing 411. I believe his name is David Paulides, has been investigating the disappearances in the state and national parks all over the country for decades now at this point. He's found a lot of very mysterious and unexplained disappearances over the years, particularly in the Appalachian area. The state parks in Appalachia have massive tunnel systems that run through them. I believe the same is to be said in the Colorado region. There's a lot of tunnels that run under, which make it very easy for people to be disappeared. I'm certainly not surprised that there are going to be government presence in these parks. One, because it's a great place for training, but two, because it's a great place for hiding stuff that you don't want people to see, especially things that you don't want to be unintentionally uncovered through regular civilian development. I think it's interesting that he mentions the staircases. This is something that has been going around on Reddit and 4chan for a long time now. And the story is, when you're walking through the woods in the national parks, should you come across a staircase that is out of place, stay away from it. If you climb the staircase, supposedly you are climbing it to your death. Apparently the staircase is a portal to, the afterlife, something like that. They are very creepy. I've heard so many reports. I've seen so many photos. And this was years ago before AI was a thing. Mind you, Photoshop was a thing. But as someone who went to school for that kind of stuff, it's fairly easy to spot. And I have seen a lot of genuine pictures of massive staircases. Some of them just basic wooden construction. Others look like they were ripped right out of a mansion or a ballroom. It's really strange. To see a manager at a state park bring these up and talk about them, for me it validates all the stories that I've heard over the years. We heard loads of park rangers and park goers reporting finding these stairs. But to see a manager actually come out on camera and say, yes, these things exist, that's certainly something. Now, I definitely think there's something freaky going on in our national parks, whether it's spirits, whether it's some ancient monsters or beasts, or whether it's just our government up to government things. And what is our government up to in those parks? Are they responsible for all the missing people that David Paulides has been investigating? Let me know in the comments.
Did you ever hear about the Grand Canyon theory?
No.
So the Grand Canyon,
Okay.
one of the world's wonders. There's a theory that the Grand Canyon holds something that none of us knew was there. So back in the 1850s, right?
Yeah.
The Grand Canyon was used to mine gold. When people started mining it, the gold index crashed because they found so much gold there.
Okay.
Now what happened was the government and the military, they closed it off and they made it a sanctuary so that nobody can just go there and then take whatever they want. There was this one guy, his name was Seth Tanner,
Okay.
and he was an explorer. He explored this one cave and he claims what he saw
Yeah.
was ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics in one of the caves.
Oh, what did it say?
The Grand Canyon, it actually holds the lost city of El Dorado.
What?
Like,
The
you know,
whole
the
city?
lost gold city of El Dorado.
Yeah, the whole city.
The whole city. So if you think about it, it's never found. That ancient tale that all of the natives talk about, the lost city, and the reason the government and the world is trying to keep it a secret is because it would crash the gold price.
Oh, I think there is definitely something going on or being hidden in the Grand Canyon. There's a reason so much of it is off limits. I saw a video recently of a couple of explorers that were sneaking around with a drone, exploring the areas they weren't meant to be. And they came across what appeared to be the opening of a very, very large temple. And the temple looked to be of Egyptian construction. Now, they weren't able to get very close to it because it didn't take long before they heard the chopping of helicopter wings in the air coming for them. But they came back at night, I hear, and tried to get better footage. Apparently they heard some extremely terrifying sounds coming from said temple, so they hightailed it out of there. I'll have to see if I can find that footage or those clips for a future video. I do think it stands to reason that if an area is high in gold, our government would certainly make it off limits to the public. They do need to preserve our economy, or at least they used to. I don't know about these days. It seems like these days they're on the Titanic, it's sinking, and they're grabbing all the silverware they can on the way out. I'm not sure about El Dorado being located in the Grand Canyon, but it would not surprise me. With all of the reports of ancient Egyptian stuff being found there, I mean, Egyptians certainly did love gold. Who's to say they don't have some hidden city of gold within that gold-rich canyon? I am curious, though, why do you guys think our government has so much of the Grand Canyon off limits to the public? Is it just to protect their gold investments? Is it because they have some kind of freaky secret base down there? Or is it because there's some kind of important historical discovery that they don't want us to know about?
Have you seen all this stuff with fruit turning into plastic?
Dude, oh my gosh. There are people that are going to grocery stores, coming back and looking and like going through and eating their veggies and their fruits and stuff like that, and they're having rubber/plastic food. It's crazy.
This mom, she gave her child blueberries, and they were just like kind of complaining about them. So she dumped it down the garbage disposal, turned it on, and then it was like like it was like hot. Turned it off, pulled it out, and the blueberry was still whole. And she took a knife, and it was like rubber.
Dude, they're messing with our food. Things are getting way too expensive. There's no way they're not cutting corners.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many videos of it. There's a video of a dude holding a banana. It was unopened. Literally peels it, looks normal, and he bends it, doesn't break. They are doing whatever they can to make artificial stuff. It's insane.
It's proven. They're coating our fruits and vegetables in this kind of like plasticky thing, but it's a carcinogen. Your fruit at Publix is not real.
Plastic! I can't believe it, man. Did you see Burger King's new ad? They had a picture of it sitting out for a week, and it was all covered in mold and stuff, and it's, you know, like I don't know what the slogan was, but it was basically showing like, hey, this is a burger 1 week after it's been sitting out.
It's disgusting, isn't it? You know that the United States has the most fitness centers out of the entire world, and yet we're the least fit. We have the greatest abundance of food, and yet none of it's real. We have the greatest medical procedures and doctors in the world, and yet we're all unhealthy. We have the greatest amount of mental health care professionals worldwide, and yet we're all mentally ill, suffering from anxiety or depression. What the hell is going on in the United States of America? It's almost as if the folks that are in charge only want us to be just strong enough to be able to work our day jobs, but not so strong as to be able to actually have a healthy mind, a healthy soul, and a healthy body. People with those traits could potentially rise up and cast off the chains of modern-day slavery. We had a guinea pig recently here. It passed away. A couple of months ago, I had bought a bag of carrots to feed this guinea pig. Good, nice, organic carrots from the grocery store. It's been a few months now, and those carrots were still in my fridge, just tucked away into a corner. I pulled them out after I saw this video, and wouldn't you know it, my goodness, they were still as if I brought them home from the store. Now, carrots should only last a couple of weeks in a refrigerator, especially with improper containment in an open bag. And yeah, these ones were still crisp and cracked, and that kind of concerned me. Don't get me wrong, That would make me happy if my food could last longer and I'd get more out of it, but at the same time, I don't want food that's coated in all of those chemicals and plastics and additives. It's disgusting. Something is seriously, seriously wrong with this country. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. As a new channel, all of your engagement helps this channel to grow. The more the channel grows, the more videos I'll make. Let's get back to it.
Do you wonder where all the Ukraine money is going? Well, it looks like we've started a thread to pull. Idaho is trying to shut off water to 500,000 acres of farmland, 781 miles. But there's been plenty of rain this spring, so that's not it. They say it's due to water reserves underground, that it's projected to deplete at a too fast of a rate to preserve water supply. They need to shut off the water to 500,000 acres of Idaho farmland. But, the Continuing Appropriations and Ukraine Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2023 approved $4.5 billion for direct financial support to the government of Ukraine, or so they said. Jervois Global Limited enters an agreement for $15 million for information on drilling at its Idaho cobalt mine, utilizing funds from the additional Ukraine Supplemental Appropriations Act. Why is money for direct financial support for the government of Ukraine being rerouted by the Department of Defense to a cobalt mine in Idaho? Cobalt used in batteries for your phones, computers, electric cars. There are countless valuable usages for cobalt. Any side effects of cobalt we should be aware of, considering we use it in everything? Cobalt exposure triggers impairments in cognitive and anxiety-like behaviors, brain oxidative stress, and inflammation. And do you know what's a necessary component of cobalt mining in mass? Guessed it, water. Lots of water. On May 31st, 2024, Idaho Department of Water announced shutting off water to 500,000 acres of farmland. June 21st, 2024, Jervois cobalt mine can start drilling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Idaho is shutting off water due to a shortage at the same time the cobalt mine is set to start operating 24/7. And it's Ukraine's funding bill, one of many, that gave $15 million to Jervois to restart operations after losing money. Couple of things to look further into. How many members of Congress have a financial interest in this cobalt mine? My initial research, a lot. Also, is it linked to the CHIPS Act, where they gave Micron a fistful of money to start manufacturing in Idaho? And are they trying to destroy crops so they can take the land and mine more cobalt, or is it purely to control the water supply? I was just in Idaho, absolutely beautiful state filled with great people. And the government shows up with the government gun and forces their will. Again, maybe it's just a coincidence and I'm just a conspiracy theorist. Perhaps. But one fact remains absolutely true. Money that we were told was going to Ukraine is not. There is no coincidence.
This one really infuriates me. As always, it's profits over people. We're meant to be sovereign citizens in control of our own destiny, and yet our government keeps setting us aside in the favor of profits. Something's absolutely wrong with this picture. They did this same kind of stuff over in California. They let Nestle and other corporations come in and claim all the water rights, and then forced everybody else to go on water rations and to cut back on their usage. This will negatively impact our agriculture and our food nationwide, all to chase profits for one corporation. I think it's getting to be about time we hit the reset button on our government. Did you know in ancient Rome, when you took office as a senator, there was a full audit done of your finances and that of your families? When you left office, another audit was done. If there were any discrepancies, you were executed. Could you imagine if we did something like that here? Now, I'm not a man for violence, but I am a patriot who loves his country, and I understand that our government has grown far too large, far too bloated, and way too out of control. I often wonder, what would it be like? What would happen if we just took every single bureaucrat, politician, every single secretary, every single person who has career in DC, and just put them all down, just once? I'm sure those that followed in their footsteps would be a lot less likely to accept corruption. I know it's a dark thought, but at the same time, those kind of thoughts may be needed if we're going to save this beautiful, beautiful country that once was. I also wanted to mention, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Did you know that our government allows the Saudis to come in and make alfalfa farms that totally decimate the water tables in those areas? Why are we letting foreign countries come in and steal our resources? And I'll add this. I don't think those Idaho farmers should give in. If they want to restrict the water, then I think the Idaho farmers need to take a play out of the French farmers' book, because they know how to get stuff done. The government won't be so quick to shit on you if you blast shit back on them out of a cannon. Just like the farmers in France did.
That's the cost of living crisis. Suddenly we went up from prices being around there to prices being there. And you don't really see that in this data, okay? Because inflation is really just measuring the difference between that and that. And if you look at those two lines, you're talking about a 2.3% change. That's the number we're talking about today. But for a lot of people, it's not about that. It's about the difference between this and that. And when you look at the difference between this and that, that's 20%. And I think that's the dichotomy here between these inflation numbers where it looks normal and this, which is really not normal at all.
So I added this clip in here because I wanted to show just how our government lies using statistics and numbers. And not just our government, but their media stooges who follow their every command. When they tell you inflation is only so bad, know that it's far worse than they're willing to admit. There was a gentleman I recently saw that had a Walmart order from 5 years ago, and when he repurchased that exact same order on his account, the price was up 400%. Did you know that in the last 4 years, 80% of every US dollar ever printed was printed? Makes you wonder, oh, why do we have all this inflation? Well, I think there's your answer. Our government's printing money out of control. They don't care about trying to pay our national debt. They're just trying to get all the silverware and gold that they can before the Titanic sinks, and it is sinking. Scares the hell out of me because I do love this country. I hate to see it go in this direction. It also scares me as a father because it makes it harder and harder to provide for the family. Even though I have a above median household average income, we're still struggling paycheck to paycheck where the bank account's negative before the next check comes in. I can't imagine what it must be like for those living below the average median household income. I don't even know how they're surviving. This is an untenable situation, and we need some serious change, and we need it fast.
Yo, listen, y'all remember how they said that this is what angels really look like, right? Yo, listen to this shit.
Researchers say they've identified at least 7 stars that might be surrounded by super advanced alien megastructures known as Dyson spheres. Yes, I said alien structures, and I know what you're thinking, but just stay with me here, because the basic idea was this. Superior intelligent life might build big structures around their home stars or planets as a way to harness or reuse that energy. A 1960s physicist who came up with this idea, Freeman Dyson, argued that if these structures existed, there'd be so much energy that human scientists on Earth could probably spot it because it would emit a lot of infrared radiation. So in this new study, researchers say they found 7 sources glowing in the infrared, those are their words, but couldn't find an obvious explanation for why these sources are glowing so much, which could mean they're Dyson spheres or something else entirely. And what I'm saying is, what? Space is so crazy. I wish I understood it better. So let's
stop right there, right? This is what a Dyson sphere look like in the scientific realm. This is what an angel look like in the religious realm. The real one too. Tell me they just wasn't describing that, y'all. Real shit. Wake up!
Changing gears a little bit, I love this guy. I think he is just an absolute joy to watch. And isn't it interesting just how often science and religion tend to get their wires crossed? It does provoke some thought. Is it possible that they were actually seeing angels? Or is it possible that those who first gave us these descriptions of angels were actually seeing Dyson spheres? I don't know. But I do think it's interesting that we're seeing on the news now that they have been discovered. It seems like we've really been fed a slow drip of disclosure when it comes to the UFO phenomenon. It's very exciting, but it's also a little scary. If they are angels, and we're starting to see them now, does that mean that something's coming? Something's happening? They want us to know? They want us to see? On the inverse, if they are aliens and we're able to see them, they are far advanced in ways we can't even comprehend. And should they decide to come here, what could we do about it? It certainly is intense. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Were they seeing angels, or were they seeing some kind of artificial alien structures? Are they one and the same? Are aliens and angels the same thing? What do you think? Alright, let's go ahead and close today's video there. As always, if you enjoy what you're watching, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It's also helpful to share these videos as it gets us in front of that algorithm so that more people can see it. The more this channel grows, the more videos I'll make. But thank you guys for tuning in today, and I'll see you tomorrow.